That's very cool.
In 3, 2, 1.
Do you think people are consuming health content more without actually getting healthier?
Absolutely. Yes.
A very warm welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast, your go-to series for unfiltered conversations with entrepreneurs shaping the future of business. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today we are talking about something that every entrepreneur wants more of: better health, higher performance, and sustainable success. In a world obsessed with quick fixes, Slow Burn Method is taking a different approach. And joining me today is Raj Ganpath, founder of Slow Burn Method, to talk about wellness, entrepreneurship, and why the best results can never be achieved overnight. Let's dive in. Raj, welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow podcast. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you for having me here. Same here.
So Raj, you have spent 2 decades, helping people transform their health. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Was there a particular moment that drew you towards fitness and wellness, or was it a gradual process?
Absolutely. I actually grew up in Chennai. Very typical, 90s Indian kid kind of grew up. So fairly healthy, but not fit in any way, right? I had asthma, could never play, was never the fitness kind of kid. So that's just how my life was. At some point of time when I was about 24, I was going through a tough time in life, and I realized I kind of lost the plot. Okay, and that is kind of when I got into fitness. And the reason I got into fitness was because it was something that I was never able to do. And it was actually running that I got into, and being asthmatic. I was not able to, run for more than 100 meters, and I would have an asthma attack. I'd have to take a, inhaler puff, and that's just how life was.
Right.
So it was at that moment, you said, if there's a moment that drew me, kind of drew me towards fitness, that was it. In fact, moments like this don't happen in my life, but I very clearly remember this moment where I was just walking in. This was when I was back in California. I was doing my master's and I was working there. I was just walking in my room, and I saw a mirror, caught a glimpse of myself, and I realized this is not the person I know. So I basically lost the plot in life, and I figured I want to turn all this negative energy, this angst, this anxiety that I had into something positive. And that's how I kind of got into fitness. And fitness literally changed my life, right? From a health perspective, from a worldview perspective, confidence perspective, it changed my life. And I realized if it could have such a big impact in my life, maybe I can use that, to create an impact in many other people's lives.
So before we talk about business, I want to ask you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people, especially people in India, have about health today?
It's a big list, right? I mean, we do have a lot of misconceptions about health in general, but today, given social media and we consume so much information, it's just varied. Back in the day, it was just a couple of things, like say lentils are filled with protein, right? Or home food is good food. But today the list is just larger and larger and larger. And if you kind of go back to all the health issues that we are facing right now, one way or the other, all of these can be mapped to one misconception or the other, right? So depends on what specifically you're talking about, the misconceptions. But in general, I'd say 3 main things. One is home food is healthy food. Doesn't matter what you eat at home, it's healthy, right? That's something that's very deeply in our heads as Indians. Second thing is exercise is not necessary, in the sense that fitness is a luxury. You do it if you want it. We didn't really grow up seeing our parents exercise, so it's not a part of our lives as such. And the third thing is doing anything that is not traditional could be dangerous. For example, eating more protein or adding a protein supplement, right? Or reducing carbohydrates. All of these things tend to scare people because we're just not used to them.
Right. I find it really interesting that you have named your platform Slow Burn Method, because we are living in the era of quick fixes, right? So why did you build the philosophy on slowness? What was the idea behind it?
Okay, so that'll be a slightly longer answer, okay? So I go back a little bit. So like you said, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, right? So when I first started, I also wanted to lose weight. That's kind of how I started, right? My life was it was a mess. My fitness was non-existent. My health markers were off. I was also a good 25 to 30 kilos overweight, yeah? So I got into this just like Everyone does, you want to look better. Someone called you fat, or your doctor said your numbers are, off the charts. You have to do something about it. That's scare. That's kind of how I got into it. And I really fell in love with fitness and all of that. Now, while working with people for so many years, the goal was the same, right? Like, how can I create a positive impact in your life with respect to health and fitness, right? And most people want to be lean. They want to look strong, right? Everyone talks about weight loss. But in reality, what people want is you want to look, feel, and function better.
Sure.
Right? That's what all of us want, right? And when I say look, that could mean, it could be muscular for someone. It could mean thin for someone else, right? Depends. Similarly, feel and function. That's what we're all working towards. But if you look at fitness in general, and if especially look at weight loss, the way we tend to approach it is very short term.
Okay.
We're thinking, how can I finish this in 3 months? Right? So you go on, you look for a weight loss program. The first question you're going to be like, how many kilos will I lose and how quickly will I lose it?
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're thinking about a fitness program, how quickly will I get stronger? How quickly can I, run faster? We're trying to finish it. Right? And what I realized is that after working with literally thousands of people and trying tens of hundreds of different methodologies, you realize the magic is not really in the methodology. Okay? If I asked you right now, I have to lose weight, what should I do? Or I have to improve my health, what do I do? You have the answers.
Yeah.
You may not know everything, but you know enough to actually make that change, right? So information is not the problem. Execution is the problem. And more often than not, we have this tendency to want to do things quickly, get done with it, and move on, go back to life, right? And that's how every weight loss program, every fitness program is designed. And that's why you see 3 months, right? And that's why you see any success story, 10 kilos in 2 months. Or this person got so much stronger in this time, X kilos in Y months, right? That's usually the formula that people use.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back and look at it, what really happens is you see all these success stories of people losing weight, getting fitter in 3 months, right? You see that. What happens in 3 years? What happens?
Do they gain back the weight?
We don't know, right? The thing is, we don't know. The thing is that we see the success, the short-term success, and we think that's what I want. But in reality, if you think about weight loss, health, fitness, all of that, the only way for it to be sustainable in the long term is for you to take it slow.
Right.
Slow is the magic, right? And the reason the entire platform that we built is called Slow Burn Method is because it's commentary against all the rapid weight loss programs that's out there.
Very interesting. Slow and steady wins the race.
Absolutely, always.
So how would you describe Slow Burn Method? Is it a fitness, wellness company, or is it a tech platform? How would you describe it?
Well, it's all of those things, but firstly, it is an opportunity to make an impact in people's lives. And let me explain why. See, today we are in a situation where health, protein, right? These are all buzzwords, calorie deficit, fitness, right? Everyone wants to be fit. It's a buzzword, right? So if you look at the next 10 to 20 years, and again, any entrepreneur, any business, any product that you're designing, you should be designing for the future and not for right now or the past, right? So what's going to happen in the future? In the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to have millions and millions of Indians who are going to want to improve their fitness, who are going to want to lose weight. Or if they don't want to, they have to. We're at that stage right now, right? It's not a choice anymore, it's a necessity. So for you to be able to solve a problem which millions and millions of people are experiencing, you need to create something that is truly novel, okay? So the concept that I came up with for Slow Burn Method was something that makes fitness, weight loss, lifestyle, weight management, all of these things, makes it approachable, accessible, and affordable.
Okay.
Because think about it today. When you talk about weight loss, when you talk about nutrition coaching, when you're working with someone one-on-one, you want to pay them at least $10,000 a month, at the very least, right? A good nutrition coach, because you're demanding that person's time, right? But not everyone can afford to do that. But over the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to have so many different kinds of people who are having the same issue, because in India today, the problem is a lot of us are overfed but undernourished. We're eating a lot of food, we're not getting enough nutrients, right? So all the issues that we are facing are connected. So to solve this, it's not enough that you just come up with a weight loss program. It's not enough that you just come up with, some kind of a wellness company. Firstly, this whole thing has to be mission driven. And my entire team is driven by this mission, because at the end of the day, we want to make an impact, and we have to make an impact in a way that is sustainable, right? So unless that mission is clear, that vision is clear, you're not going to be able to create it. Now, is it a fitness company? Absolutely, has to be, right? Because we're working with nutrition coaches, exercise coaches, psychologists, chefs, right? Because someone who's trying to change their lifestyle needs a lot of support, lot of expertise. You're not going to be able to do this by yourself, especially because of the abundance of information that's available right now. It is always confusing. Right? Is it a tech platform? Absolutely yes. Because if you want to work with tens of thousands of people, and we want to work with hundreds of thousands of people, you need tech.
Sure. So tell me, what is the toughest part about running a wellness company today? Is it gaining the customers, or rather retaining the customers, because once they become fit, or once they've achieved their goal, the weight they want to, they probably move on? Or is it the team that you're talking about, getting the right instructors, the fitness coaches, and psychologists, chefs that you mentioned? What's the toughest part?
It's all of it, to be honest, right? Acquiring new customers is a challenge for every business. It always has been and it always will be, right? So getting good experts, good quality, people for the team is also always a challenge. Like talent acquisition is hard. So these are things that apply at all points of time.
Yeah.
Retention, I wouldn't say so, because reason being, if you are adding value, people will stick around, right?
Yeah.
I've had people working with me for 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, right? From the time they started working with me. Again, finally, it comes down to how much care, right? And how much value you add to a person's life.
Sure.
If you do, then they're going to continue working with you. But to say that what is the hardest part, customer acquisition is hard because, at the end of the day, everyone's looking for shortcuts, and there are a lot of companies providing shortcuts, or at least saying that they have those shortcuts, right? So think about it. Let's say you have 3 programs. One program says guaranteed 10 kilos, 2 months, done.
Yeah.
Another program says, you know what, you pay me by the kilo. You want to lose 1 kilo? It's $2,000. You want to lose 10 kilos? It's $20,000, right? And then you have something called slow burn method, which says, you know what, take your time, do it patiently. Which one would someone pick?
Yeah.
Right? Naturally, the person who's desperate, and a lot of us are made to feel desperate, thanks to all the ads, thanks to everything that we're seeing. When you're desperate, you want to pick the one, that seems like the highest weight loss potential, right?
Yeah.
And this is not different from how we make our financial investments either, right? Why do people fall for financial scams all the time? You know that the national average, let's say, is about 8 to 12%. But some guy says, hey, you know what, I'll give you 25%. And you immediately feel, oh, I shouldn't miss out on this, so I want to try this out, right? So that little bit of greed, right? That when we are desperate, we tend to do those things.
So give us an overview of India's, wellness market. I think India is spending a lot on supplements. You have your fitness apps, gyms. Tell me, where are the biggest opportunities today? And of course, we have a lot of content, which you also spoke about, right? Do you think people are consuming health content more without actually getting healthier?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my biggest messages is this, right? You already know everything you need to know, right? So stop consuming more, right? Stop looking for, okay, what am I missing? Where's the shortcut? Start acting. When you think about opportunities, naturally, there's always opportunities in quick fixes. Supplements are those right now, except they don't fix anything, right? So when you look at a supplement, what are people thinking? This is what I'm missing. If I take this, everything will just fall in place. And unfortunately, supplements can advertise whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
They can say whatever they want. There's very little regulation there. There are supplements openly advertising that your weight loss will increase 3x if you take this one supplement. But there is absolutely no science behind it. So when you talk about business opportunities, there's so much, because it's so easy to get people to buy something when you've already made them desperate. Okay, but that's not ethical, that's not moral, that's not how you want to build a nation, right?
Sure.
So to be very honest, if you ask me where the real opportunity lies, and if we can think about the big picture, right? And I always believe, you don't think in weeks, months, or years, you need to think in generations. Yeah? If you want India to become healthier, what we need to do is to embrace the basics. We need to start balancing our nutrition. We have to eat more protein, more vegetables, a little less carbs, a little less fat. We have to start exercising a little more than what we are doing right now. We have to start sleeping a little more than what we are sleeping right now, right? So this change is going to happen in generations. So if you're talking about real opportunities, how can I make money in the next 2 years? I don't know, right? Beg, borrow, steal, cheat, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to really make an impact and also make money over years, then you create something that has true value.
Sure. But I mean, it is a crowded market at the end of the day. Every neighborhood you go to, you definitely see a gym. There are like nutritionists also available, so many apps which we spoke about. How do you stand out?
Firstly, there is space for everyone. We have to understand that, okay? And I think that's a big problem today. We are not a collaborator market. We're a very competitive market. Oh, you're doing the same thing. You're going to take my clients. I'm going to take your clients. No, India is a huge country, and this problem is humongous. Okay, so we need many, many, many solutions out there. Okay, so even if you're able to come up with one solution, it's still a good thing. And as far as standing out is concerned, I think it's important for us to stand out, yes, but we've also gone to a point where we are standing out by doing all kinds of crazy things. Right? Because like you said, it's such a crowded market, people have to literally do whatever they can to stand out.
Yeah.
As far as slow burn method is concerned, as far as I'm concerned, I have a very simple way to stand out. Not going to do anything extreme. I'm going to be that boring guy. Right? I'm going to be that guy who says, trust your gut. You know what you need to do. Take your time, be patient, see the big picture. I think being rational, being sensible is something that is missing today.
Sure.
Okay? People are swinging from one extreme to the other. But when you're able to look at the middle path, as they call it, right, the big picture, it's actually very refreshing. And once you understand that, you will not go swinging for the fences again. So I think it's a very interesting time where being rational is actually quite radical. Okay, so I believe our strength lies in staying calm, in staying rooted, and in staying true to our goals.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about technology. How do you think technology will shape the future of fitness, the future of the business that we're talking about? Do you think a wellness company today can exist, if you remove that digital layer?
I don't think so, and I don't think you should either, right? Because see, the digital layer that you beautifully said, I think it's a part of everything we do today. It's so easy for people to say, don't be on your phone, often, but I order food on the phone. I order groceries on the phone. Right? I get phone calls on the phone. I work on the phone. Right? Everything's on the phone. It's impossible for you to remove that digital layer. Right?
Yeah.
See, like anything that's powerful in life, it is a double-edged sword.
Right.
You can use it this way or that way. Right? And I don't think technology is bad. I don't think that digital layer is bad. We need it, and we are using it to make progress. Of course, there are negatives to it also.
Yeah.
It's like literally everything, right? Take coffee. Coffee is great for you, but then there are people who have 15 cups of coffee a day, right? So it's on both sides. So I don't think you should remove the digital layer. The idea is how can we retain the digital layer and use it to enhance whatever it is that we're trying to do.
Sure.
Take slow burn method, for example. Right now, currently, we work with people from about 52 or 56 different time zones.
Sure.
This is going to be impossible without technology, without that digital layer. Right? And how do you make things more approachable? How do you make things more accessible? And more importantly, how do you make things more affordable? If it's not digital, you won't be able to do that. Now think about it. Let's say you have to work with me one-on-one as a nutrition coach. You get on a phone call with me, you send me photos of what you're eating, right? We keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
How many people can I work with?
Yeah.
10, 20, 50, 100 maybe if I drive myself crazy, right? Work stress and all that. But if we want to make a difference in the nation's health, again, I'm talking about millions of people. We have to design solutions that can be applied across millions of people. And that is not going to be possible without tech, without that digital layer. So the key is to understand what aspect of that digital layer is important and how do you bring it in as a way to share information, whatever it is, your business does.
Yeah.
But how can you use it to enhance it, right? As a general rule, if you want to amplify your reach, you have to simplify your service. And that's what, technology will help us do.
And just taking to the topic of technology, on my show, I talk a lot about AI right now, every conversation.
Absolutely.
But I have a very different question for you. Do you think AI is going to make people less resilient physically and mentally?
It's a hard question. It's a very good question, actually. It depends on how people use AI, right? So recently I listened to a talk by this illustrator, author, who writes wordless children's books, okay? He had a very interesting point. He mentioned, his name is Kanato, yeah. Interesting point, right? He mentioned how when we talk about AI, all of us tend to not want to use it in our expertise, but we're okay using in other expertise. For example, a photographer would not use, or an artist would not use AI to generate the image, but would use AI to write the content. A writer would not use AI to write something, but then for the image they would use AI. Do you see what I mean? So I think it depends on how we end up using it. Now, from a fitness perspective, if you're using it for information,
yeah,
right? Sure. right? I mean, if you think about it, if you want a training program, an AI can only give you like a 7 on 10 training program. But truth is, most people don't need more than a 7 on 10 training program, right? So take advantage of that, use that. What you need to know more, you can always, work with someone, learn. So I think AI in general can be a powerful ally if we use it well.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to us and how we want to use it. Yeah.
So tell me, what are the similarities between building a healthy body and a successful business?
Oh, wow. A lot. Everything that I said right now. Right? I mean, the slow approach really, really matters, right? I think the other thing with respect to business today is also you either go big or you go bust.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if you're not valued at whatever $1 million, or if it doesn't grow in the first 2 or 3 years, then people are like, oh, okay, this is not worth it. Right?
Yeah.
It's very similar to our approach towards health also. Like I want to lose weight. I'm either losing 10 kilos in 3 months or I'm stuffing my face with biryani, right? I'm here or there, one way or the other. But in reality, if you think about your health, if you think about wealth management, health management, think about building a business, slow, steady, consistent, long term.
Right.
Because you don't want to build something for the next 2 years and disappear. Yeah. If you truly want to create impact, you want to build something that lasts, generations. So it will take much longer. So the slow, steady approach applies in both cases. And most importantly, we always talk about the what. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
But there is a what, the how, and the why. Yeah. Right? And you need to start with why. Right? You need to know the big picture. Why am I building this business? What am I trying to do here? What problem am I trying to solve? Who am I helping? I think if you're clear about those things, then the subsequent steps will present themselves to you as you keep getting closer. But if you keep focusing on, how much money am I going to make? Right? How am I going to sell this company? That's more like how many kilos can I lose? It's very short term and it is very stressful and it will burn you out.
So Raj, is this bootstrapped or, do you have external funding for this? If you could just talk to us about your funding choices as well.
Absolutely. This is completely bootstrapped at the point. And the reason it's that way is because we haven't gone into exactly what the model is. But the idea with this model, with slow burn method, is how can we work with many, many people, providing them with high quality information, guidance, right? Everything, a structure, all of it, but make it extremely affordable.
Sure.
So as of right now, we have managed to be able to do that extremely well at a very low cost. So we don't really need funding at this point of time.
Sure.
But you asked me what is hard about building a business, right?
Yeah.
It will get to a point where it becomes very expensive to acquire customers.
Right.
It always does, right? At that point of time, we will need funding. And you'll also get to a point where that technical background, which we spoke about, the digital layer, has to grow more. And those things are expensive. So I don't see us needing any funding for the next year or two. But once we cross a certain, benchmark, then we will need that.
Sure. I also want to just touch on this, whole hustle culture. A lot of the founders that I speak to, and not just founders, even working professionals, I think we glorify hustle too much, But do you think overworking would actually improve performance?
Definitely not. I mean, I think people know this at some level, but I think people just don't know what overworking is. Right. So when we're talking about stress, we're always talking about stress management. But before stress management, the very first step is actually stress awareness. Even understanding if you're, stressed or not. Most people say that I'm stressed, but I enjoy it, so I want to keep doing it, right? So we have to also understand the difference between hustle and hustle culture. Hustle is a part of life, okay? Especially as a part of a startup. There are going to be times when you hustle, right? You have a project coming up, you have a big deadline coming up, whatever it is, right? You hustle. But if that becomes your life, if everyday working just feels like that, that is hustle culture. And that will absolutely burn you out, right? And as someone who's building an organization on lifestyle and on wellness and on health, I absolutely make sure that work-life balance is something that we manage. Okay?
Sure.
But out of these two companies I spoke about, the quad and slow burn method, both my companies are at very different life stages, right? So hustle culture, work-life balance varies drastically. In a newer company, as a startup, it is assumed that you have to spend sleepless nights. You have to push yourself like crazy.
Yeah.
But you don't. There is a smarter way to do it. And the only reason you do it that way is because you want to build a company in the first 2 years. So this is no different from when you're trying to lose weight. You're thinking salads, no sugar, crazy exercise. Why? Because I want to get done with it in 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can tell yourself that I have no reason to do this in 2 months, I can do it in 2 years, then you can come up with a more sustainable approach, right? So similarly, while you're building a business also, thinking in generations, seeing the big picture, being calm and patient with the approach will help you do a lot more than pushing your employees, trying to get them to do things overnight and trying to just get done with it, right? I think it's important to enjoy the journey of building something.
Absolutely. And finally, as we are wrapping up this wonderful conversation, tell me, what is that one lesson from fitness that we all can apply to life and business?
One is hard to pick, but it will take longer than you want it to. That's the lesson. Okay, be it health, muscle building, weight loss, whatever it is, be it building an organization, selling. You think you'll do it in a year, in 2 years, right? Because someone else did somehow. But invariably, good things take a long time to materialize. So it will take longer than you want it to. So it's important to be patient. It's important to be calm. It's important to learn from your mistakes. It's important to remember why you started doing what you're doing. And it's important to stay on track, be consistent for as long as possible.
Fantastic. This was a really, really insightful conversation, Raj. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Before we wrap up today's episode, here's a quick look at our LOT cheat sheet, a quick rundown of the top takeaways from today's episode. And that's a wrap of today's episode of the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations and keep chasing those big dreams. Until next time, this is Ritwika Gupta signing off.